Welcome back to our video series on applied regression analysis. I'm Mark Ledbetter and this is lecture video 3, and we're going to review basic probability, and this is part 1. Now in our university, in our introductory statistics, we don't cover basic probability and discrete functions or distributions, so we're going to do that today so that you have that understanding and you won't be lost later on. So vocabulary. A random experiment is simply something that occurs that has several possible outcomes, and we don't know the actual outcome until the event occurs or the process occurs. The outcome is simply a result of a random experiment. So whatever the result is, if we're flipping a coin, is it heads or tails? We know what the possible outcomes are, but we don't know which is going to happen until the experiment is performed. A sample space, we're going to use S, and capital S, and this is all of the possible outcomes of a random experiment. And I've heard it defined as all the possible simple outcomes of a random experiment, but I don't know that we want to try to get technical on this. I just understand it's all the possible outcomes. Now, an event, and for events we use capital letters near the front of the alphabet. I mean, that's just the convention, but we don't have to. We could use any letter we want to, or Greek symbols or what have you. It's a subset of the sample space, so it's some portion of the sample space. It could also be it could also include the whole sample space or nothing in the sample space. Depends on how we define it. A null set or an empty set, and I use empty set. Some books use null set, but they're both the same. It's this round figure with a line through it. Notice that the line goes all the way through and past the edges. So this is not a zero, this is a set. So if you look over here, we usually use these curlicue brackets to contain a set, but there is nothing inside this set. It's empty. Thus the empty set. You might think, why is this even important? It's actually very important, and we need it in order to talk about set theory and thus probability, which is based on sets. Okay, now a subset. This says A is contained in B. Just like a less than sign, we have this U, and now the small side or the curved side is the smaller side. Just like with a less than, the point points towards the smaller side, right? And the opening points towards the larger. Well, again, just like this, A is contained within B. So A is a subset of B. That means that A contains at least some of the elements that are in B, or all even. But there is an important part of this. It can't contain any elements that are not in B. Then it's not a subset. Okay. And it's also a matter of definition that the empty set is a subset of every other set. Okay. And again, this becomes important when we try to calculate probabilities. So we have this random experiment where we're going to roll a red die and a green die. They're four-sided, so they're not the regular dice with 6 sides. The outcome is going to be the number of dots facing up. So I can define the sample space as these ordered pairs, the first being the red die and the second number being the green die. So by making them different colors, we can tell which one is which, and we're always going to put the red die, yes, first, and the green die second. Okay, so I can write it as these ordered pairs, and there's going to be 16 of them. But when we're doing this, if you have two outcomes like this, two things that you're putting together, like two dice, then it's easy to do a table. Obviously, you can't do just one table for 3. You'd have to use more than one table, so it becomes very cumbersome. But for 2 objects, this is very easy. And so we have the 16. And so I'm going to define set A as the result of a red die being at least 2. So it can be 2, 3, 4, right? Because it only goes up to 4. So this is the red die, so it's going to take this portion here. And B is going to be that the sum of the 2 dies is greater than or equal to 3. And C is that the sum of the 2 dies is greater than 9. Okay? Now, notice that the highest sum is going to be 8. So C is going to equal the empty set. And also notice that C is a subset of A, because it's a subset of every set, and A is a subset of B. B is that the sum is at least 3. So here we have 3 right here and 3 right here. And so it turns out that the diagonals have the same sum. So you'll see that 4, 4, 4. And so here is 2. So the only combination that doesn't have a sum of at least 2 is the 1, 1. So every other thing in here is in B, sum of 3. And greater than or equal to 2 for a red die is going to be the last 3 rows. So A is contained in B, and C is a subset of all sets. So C contained in A, which is contained in B. Now the union is, we use the word or, and basically what we're doing is we're just jamming 2 sets together. Okay, they don't have to touch, they don't have to have anything in common. We're just saying I'm going to take this and I'm going to take that. So an example is I can take the set of all houses that cost at least $100,000 in the area, and I can take all the airplanes that have at least 20 seats in them, and even though they have nothing to do with each other, I can jam all those together and make a union. And so if you're in either one of these, you are in the union. The intersection is different. The intersection is where the elements, an element of A is also in B. So you'll notice that the union looks like a U, but an intersection is the upside down version of that. And so the intersection has to be, those elements have to be in both sets at the same time. Now the complement of A, called A naught, this book uses the dash here to denote that it's a complement, and it contains all of the elements in S, the sample space we're talking about, that are not in A. And I'll show you some pictures in just a minute. Mutually exclusive events. These two events are empty. The intersection is empty. They are disjoint or mutually exclusive. Mutually exhaustive events, there's 2 or more of these, where their union is equal to the whole sample space. And it can be written in this form like a summation. Union from I equals 1 to n of A sub I is equal to S. Now you can be mutually exclusive, or you can be mutually exhaustive, or you can be both. And so if you're both mutually exclusive and mutually exhaustive, 2 or more sets, and so any 2 of the sets are empty or disjoint or mutually exclusive, and then the union is also equal to the sample space S. So here is a depiction of the union of A and B. It's the shaded portion inside the sample space. So the union of A, so A is shaded, B is shaded. If I'm in A, I'm certainly not in B, and vice versa. But if I'm in either of these, then I'm in the union or the or. And so there's a problem with how we use or in the English language versus how mathematically we use or. Now, so in the second set over here, in this case, I can be in A and not B. I can be in B and not A, or I can be in A and B. So the union is simply the joining of 2 sets, whether they touch or not. It's all of the elements that are in at least one of them, how you can say that. The intersection, though, is the darker shaded spot here, A and B. We use and because it's in both A and B at the same time. Now here's the complement of A prime. I was trying to think of the word prime for this before and couldn't. So A is the shaded portion here, and then A prime, not A, or the complement of A, is everything outside of A but still in S. So one of the basic assumptions is when we're talking about an event, it's in some sample space S. We're never talking about anything that's not in that sample space. So here we're going back to our experiment before, and again, so now I've redefined event A. So here the sum of each diagonal is the same. As I said, it's true also if you have two six-sided die. So let's look at A. A happens to be the sum is equal to 3, and that happens along this diagonal, 1 and 2 and 2 and 1. We're going to let B stand for the red die has a value of 1, and that's up here. So that's those. And then the intersection of A and B is simply this one pair here, 1 then 2. So red die 1, green die 2, not this one, not the red die 2 and green die 1. So the union of A with B, or A or B, are all of these. Now notice I don't list the 1, 2 twice. I only have to list it once. And that's important. If it's in both, be careful when we start doing probabilities. We'll see the addition rule takes care of that. And then the complement of B. B is what's in red. And so the complement of B is going to be everything that's not in red. So the 2, 1, 2, 2, all the way up to 4, 4. Okay, which is what I've written here. Now, let's redefine A, and let's make it the red die is equal to 1. Now the B is the red die is greater than or equal to 1, so it includes that. So these are mutually exhausted because the union of A and B is the whole sample space S, but they're not mutually exclusive because A is actually, there is an intersection and it's not empty. In fact, A is contained in B. A is a subset of B. Okay. So now let's go to A is the red die has a value of 1. B, the red die is greater than or equal to 2. So we've changed the definition of B. So now A union B is S, and the intersection of A and B is empty. So these are mutually exclusive and mutually exhaustive. That's it for this lecture. I hope this has helped you get an understanding of some unions and intersections and probability, the basics. We'll see you next time in the part 2. Please don't forget to scan your lecture notes and save them as a PDF in the Google Drive folder that I shared with you for this class. Be neat on these lecture notes for you. You're the one that's going to have to review them and use them for homework and to prepare for tests. If you have questions, as always, please come to my virtual office hours posted on the syllabus, or you can email me. I'm happy to help you. I'll see you next time.